Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, News Gaon se, Malnadu TV India, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Organ Donation India Foundation, and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today's our topic is current, relevant, and very hot. And the topic is West Bengal post-poll violence. On May 2nd, Bengal chose Banglar Niger May, Bengal's own daughter, for the third time to take up the reins of the state government. It was expected that finally peace would come to the pandemic-affected state that had gone through a long-drawn 8-phase election. But it did not happen, at least not in the rural districts far away from Kolkata's critical eyes. Bengal's disturbing legacy of post-poll violence showed its ugly face once again, and this time women bore the brunt of the violence in the worst possible way. Some of the disturbing incidents that trickled out via social media were declared fake by the West Bengal police or normalized as part of the post-election process. But voices kept floating and some managed to reach the Supreme Court. Those voices that were not heard by the local police denied justice in their home state. Two gang rape victims, a 60-year-old and a 17-year-old minor, moved the apex court demanding a special investigation. Asked to comment on harrowing details of gang rape, Mr. Debangshu Bhattacharya, TMC spokesperson and General Secretary of the party's youth wing, said, I quote, I have heard of some allegations, but those few cases happened when the Election Commission was in charge of Bengal. After Mamata Banerjee was sworn in, all that stopped. 90% of these allegations are false. This is a part of the BJP's conspiracy to spread fake news and bring president's rule in Bengal, unquote. When asked about whether the TMC's high command was going to carry out a party investigation, since these allegations are reaching the apex court, he said the TMC has a decentralized leadership. These are local matters, so our local leaders will look into it. Right after the assembly results were announced, Ms. Rekha Sharma and the National Commission for Women, NCW chairperson, had visited Bengal to investigate the post-poll violence in Bengal against women. She said, I quote, we have talked to women in shelter homes who were molested and raped, and they were not able to report it because the local police would not take their FIRs. We have heard of as many as 60 such complaints, unquote. She is hopeful that now with the NHRC sending in a team, more women will open up about the atrocities against them. Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, leader of the Congress party in the Lok Sabha and MP from Behrampur, denounced the violence. In 2016, this kind of attack was against Congress, and this time it's against BJP. Either way, in the post-poll political vendetta, it is the women who suffer the most in Bengal, he said. The questions that stare at us now are, has the law and order in Bengal broken down so completely that rape victims have to seek justice outside the state? The violence against women in Bengal is not just a political issue anymore. It has become a broader human rights issue right now. In Bengal, which is led by a woman chief minister and boasts of having the largest number of women MLAs in a state assembly willing to acknowledge this? Is Bengali civil society ready to start a campaign against it? The West Bengal government was in denial mode on post-poll violence in the state. The Calcutta High Court said on Friday, while taking cognizance of the official report on the attacks and ordering the authorities to record statements and provide relief to the victims, the court's observations are a setback for the Trinamool Congress TMC administration that has repeatedly denied large-scale violence after the May 2nd assembly election results and accused the Bharatiya Janata Party of fabricating charges. A 5-judge High Court bench took note of a report by the National Human Rights Commission NHRC and gave the 7-members team, which was set up on the High Court's orders till July 13 to visit more districts and meet more complainants. Fact-finding team submitted the report to the Minister of now one more fact-finding team which has gone to visit the West Bengal. They submitted the report to the Minister of State of Home Affairs, G. Krishnan Reddy, and while addressing the media, team says the people were made to leave their homes and take shelter in Assam. Some people's houses were completely burned and destroyed, even they were not allowed to work. The connecting bridge to a village that voted to a particular party was demolished. Their water connection has been snatched. This what the finding committee is. We have all made recommendations on behalf of the committee's immediate action for restoring the confidence of the common man. The center on Tuesday promised to take action on the report of a fact-finding team of civil society group Call for Justice, headed by former Chief Justice of Sikkim High Court Justice retired Pramod Kohli, which claimed that there were 15,000 incidents of post-poll violence in West Bengal, in which 25 people were killed and 7,000 women were molested. According to Union Minister of State for Home, G. Kishan Reddy, the report of the civil society group Call for Justice stated that the magnitude and the reach of the post-poll violence touched many villages and towns all across West Bengal simultaneously, beginning the night of May 2, when the results of the assembly elections were declared. This is a clear indication that most of the incidents are not sporadic but premeditated, organized, and conspirational, the report stated. The 5-member team included 2 retired IAS officers, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, Mr. Madan Gopal, and 1 IPS officer, Ms. Nirmal Kaur. The Home Ministry will study the report and will try to implement its recommendation, Mr. Reddy told reporters after the group submitted it to him. The report was prepared after the 5-member team visited West Bengal and met a cross-section of people there. Citing the report, Mr. Reddy said 16 districts of the state were affected by the post-poll violence. The report said that due to the post-poll violence, many people have left their homes in West Bengal and had taken shelter in Assam, Jharkhand, and Odisha. According to the report, some of the hardened criminals, mafia dons, criminal gangs who were already in police records allegedly led and carried the deadly attacks unhindered, which reveals that there is a clear political patronage even before the elections and same being used to silence the political rivals. The report claimed the incidents of targeted destruction the report claimed the incidents of targeted destruction and vandalization of properties, residential and commercial, have the sole purpose to deprive people of their livelihood and choke them economically. It claimed that the worst affected people are those who depend on day-to-day work or business, who are pushed into financial degradation and unmitigated misery. In most of the cases, victims were afraid to lodge a complaint with the police, either due to fear or reprisal or due to the lack of faith in the police. Those victims who gathered courage and went to report, police either turned them away to settle the matter with the culprits or flatly refused to register the case. Many people left their homes and villages to safer destinations and took shelters in camps within and outside the state, the report said. The fact-finding team suggested that the report should be placed before the Supreme Court. In the light of overwhelming, ample, substantial, and convincing evidence, the Supreme Court may consider constituting a special investigation team, SIT, immediately and monitor its work either through a sitting judge or a retired judge of the Supreme Court for fair investigation and early justice, the team said. They also suggested that the central government should initiate disciplinary proceedings on those delinquent officers, including all India service officers who failed to discharge their duties in protecting lives and destruction of properties. And to discuss this very, very important topic today, that is the West Bengal post-poll violence, we have three panelists, those who were included in this fact-finding committee. And I would like to introduce all the three that they are with me. They are, first is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, another is Mr. Madan Gopal. Both are IS officers, retired, and the third is Ms. Nirmal Kaur. She is a retired IPS officer. So I would like to first introduce my first guest, and he is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He is also the principal advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He was the former head of disaster management, Government of India, and Central Draft Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He was the Vice Chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is an housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nirmiti Kendra, Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmanabha Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him man of ideas. Welcome, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, on our show. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, you are a very, very seasoned and experienced IAS officer, and you have done, when you were in the service as an IAS officer, you have seen all working of a central government of the different parties as well as the state government of different parties. But today, when Dr. Bose, you have visited the West Bengal along with the team, fact-finding team, to study the post-poll violence, and you have submitted the report to the government, we would like to know from you, as the first person account for the atrocities which took place there. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. The incidents which took place in Bengal as part of the post-poll violence will make us describe this as the darkest days of democratic history in India. As a poet says, it is a case of the best lack conviction. The worst are full of passionate intensity. I repeat, the best lack conviction. The worst are full of passionate intensity. What we saw around us, or what we heard from those who underwent all the atrocities there, will make us think aloud for a while. I would say, if you have tears to shed, shed them now. If you have sighs to heave, heave them now. That was the intensity of the atrocities which were heaped on others. You know, in the apocalyptic vision of the second coming, which nears the end of the doomsday. The poet W.B. Yeats has said, the things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. That was the apocalyptic vision which we saw in Bengal when we went for the fact-finding study. What all things happened there? What all things did not happen there? See the atrocities that were committed on the people, the innocent, helpless, hapless victims and prey of the predators, the political predators who were on the prowl, will make us feel that compared to the lumpen people who are throwing the streets of London, attacking people, raping women, arson, looting, bomb, missiles, daggers, swords, heads chopped off, that will make even the devils of hell be termed as the angels of hell. That was the situation which we encountered. The details of which my friends, my younger friend, colleagues here will be able to say that, because Madan has coordinated the entire thing so efficiently well, and an excellent report he has drafted. And of course, Nirmal was the person with all her professional policing background. She could extract the truth of the situation from the affected women, which I leave to them. But there are certain larger issues which are involved in this. This is not just a crime and punishment story. This is an incident which speaks about the fragility of the federal system of this country, center-state relationship. What should be the duty and the responsibility and the code of conduct of the All India Service officers? What is the responsibility of the state government? Who are all responsible to see that the constitution of this country is implemented? Larger issues of statecraft is involved in this. Number one, if we take it one by one, this is a federation. The federation consists of the center and the states. The constitution has defined what are the roles and responsibilities of the center and the states. We have the state list, we have the union list, we have the concurrent list. These are the constitutional provisions. But as a Canadian elder statesman, Lester B. Pearson said, it is easy to frame a constitution, but difficult to make it work. That is what we have seen here. All the great democratic traditions of federalism have been thrown to the wind. And here is a state within a state, an imperium within an imperium. In Hindi, anything which you get done through muscle power is called dadagiri. And in Bengal, where the chief minister is endearing it called Didi, there is Didigiri, which is in practice. I wonder whether Shakespeare would have seen this. That is why he said, the hell is empty. All the devils are here. This was a situation, this was a feeling which this committee, which this fact-finding mission could gather from our field visits. All kinds of atrocities were there. As what happened to the women, I said, Mrs. Kaur will narrate here. And now coming to the All India Services, all the three of us here, panelists, belong to the All India Services. I would say personally, I am ashamed of the decadence of the All India Services, at least among a few of them. When people thirst for justice, when justice is denied to them, it is a mandate to the All India Service to rise above narrow sectarianism and rise above politics, be objective, be neutral, be effective. Unfortunately, we did not see this demonstrated there. A kind of degradation has taken place in politics. Democracy is degenerating into mobocracy. And certainly, when Sardar Patel formed the All India Services, he said, we expect from you 2-3 things. Number one, you should be sensitive to the wishes of the people. 2, you should be above corruption, and you should implement our policies in the field. These are 3 objectives for which All India Services were born, and the All India Services are really acquitted themselves very well. But personally, I feel my analysis of the situation is that the All India Service did not live up to the mark. The concept of committed bureaucracy, this was plundered during the days of emergency, where the IAS officers, the IPS officers, the All India Services were expected to be committed to government in power. No, the commitment of the IAS is only to the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India, which is given to ourselves by we the people. Therefore, the All India Service should dedicate itself to the service of the people and bring justice to them. The third aspect is center-state relations. Center-state relations have been defined in the statute, It has been defined in various committees, and we have the Finance Commission, we have the Goel formula, a lot of things are there. But here is a situation where the center is not able to act because there is no overarching legislation which empowers the central government to take decisive steps when there is a breakdown of law and order. Yes, we have the constitutional provision of imposing president's rule, but that is a last resort. President's rule is not the first action to be taken when there is a breakdown of law and order there, where people are asking if the state government has failed, if the governor himself is waylaid and his opinions are not cared by the state government, if the central government's director is not cared, if the prime minister himself is humiliated with a bureaucrat, if such a situation is there, can we throw up our hands in despair and say, like in Shakespeare, the faulted dear Horatio is not in ourselves but in our stars that we are underlings? No, action has to be taken. What people need is action, not an alibi for inaction. No one can wash his hands off. If there is a deadlock like this, if there is an imbroglio like this, there should be someone to solve it. Like the Gordian knot, there was no way of untying the Gordian knot. Emperor Alexander, what he did? He took the sword and cut the Gordian knot. If there is a Gordian knot in democracy, if there is a Gordian knot in the functioning of the federal system, there should be a way of cutting the Gordian knot. There are many issues which are thrown up from this. The humanistic aspect of that, which my younger colleagues will narrate here. But the recommendations given here, which I think Mr. Madan will be able to substantiate here and recapitulate here. Yes, there should be remedial measures. The immediate relief should be given to the victims. They should be given adequate compensation and rehabilitated. The Supreme Court of India should supervise. They should set up a special investigation team under their own supervision. The NIA has to intervene because there are cross-border issues involved in that. And then the Gundas have to be booked under the Gunda Act and even sent out of the state. A cleansing process is to be done. This is not impossible. Where there is a will, there is a way. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? We are looking forward to that spring, which should certainly come after this winter. We want action, not an alibi for inaction. And what are the action points to be taken? I think Mr. Madan will clearly has stated in the report, and I think Nirmal will also substantiate. I will take on, if I am given a chance, after listening to the views of my learned younger colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, for giving the first-hand information about what you have seen, what he has seen in the West Bengal when they have gone as in the team for fact-finding committee. But I would just like to highlight few points which he has mentioned is, according to him, it's the darkest period of the democracy, what they have seen there. They says, yes, there is a very specific relationship between the center and state, but there was not at all followed by the state government. All types of atrocities were taking place. He has described in many, many words, but I can just say that according to him, nothing is left whatsoever is covered in the atrocities which were not been there. And he was very much annoyed, or rather has attacked the All India services, those officers who have shamed the All India services. And he says, I am feeling ashamed to be in the services which I served so proudly, because few of the officers have not followed the code of conduct, which was the main motto of this particular services. And he says, when Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has started these services, he has mentioned very, very clearly the points, what are required, the sensitiveness, the anti-corruption, and for our service to everyone. But the way they have acted this time in the West Bengal, the All India services people, whether in the police or the administration, they have failed their duty. And they failed one thing, that they All India services is to report to the constitution, to give their services for the welfare of the society as per the constitution, not to the government of the day. Because the governments may come and go, but the constitution, they have to uphold the sanctity of the constitution. And but what he says is, in spite of all those things, the people, when they went there, everyone is asking for the president rule. But according to him, the president rule is the last resort. But there are so many things can be done. And one thing is, the Supreme Court supervised committee, and so to see that the relief works to be taken immediately, and those persons who have lost their everything, they should be given compensation accordingly. And he also says that NIA should come in picture because it's a cross-border thing now. It's not only in the West Bengal. So many people have crossed the borders to take the shelters in other states. So the NIA help to be taken, and all those gundas who have done this thing to be booked in Gundas Act and to be shifted to outside from the state. And he says that Supreme Court has to take action without fail, and otherwise people want action. They don't want only the reports, and they don't want only the verbal things. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, for giving such a facts and eye-opening things what has happened, because those who are not in West Bengal, they cannot even feel what is happening, because the reports, media report says that even the local press is not at all covering what is happening there. This also shows how much we have gone down. Whatsoever it is, whether good or bad, the media is supposed to report and show the facts, not the fiction. But according to the other media reports, they say even the local medias are not showing at all. Anyways, that is the thing. I am sure the reports have been submitted. Some action will be definitely taken. So now I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Shri Madan Gopal IAS. Shri Madan Gopal IAS is the former Additional Chief Secretary of Government of Karnataka. He has a master's degree in commerce and postgraduate diploma in journalism. He was selected into the Indian Administrative Services and placed in Karnataka cadre. During his more than 3 decades of service in Karnataka, he has served the state and government of India in many departments, including health and family welfare, higher education, food and civil supplies, forest, environment and ecology, water resources, mines and geology. He also served as executive director for the World Bank funded Jala Samvardhane Yojana integrated tank development project, commissioner for public instructions, Bangalore, registrar, Central University of Hyderabad, etc. He has attended various workshops and seminars at national and international level as a resource person on community mobilization, non-formal education, health, rural development, empowerment, and other related issues. He is also a visiting professor for International Institute on Chronic Hypoxia La Paz, Bolivia. He is life member of IIPA, New Delhi, ASCI, Hyderabad, Bangalore International Center, and Sri Ramanna Maharshi Center for Learning, Bangalore. He has published many books and presented papers at national and international forums. He has visited several countries, more than 60 countries, to attend seminars and workshops, and also as part of the study teams on various development and educational issues. His hobbies include mountaineering, traveling, reading, and photography. Welcome, Mr. Madan Gopal on our show. Mr. Madan Gopal, you have heard what Dr. C.V. Anand Bose has spoken. And as you are the secretary of this team, we would like to know from you the findings and the recommendations of the team for the post-poll violence in West Bengal. Mr. Madan Gopal, please. Please unmute.
Thank you. At the outset, I would like to say a general comments. Point one is that as a member of All India Service, worked there more than 3 decades, like my colleagues, Madam Nirmala Kaur and Dr. Anand Bose. The first thing we do in our Sardar National Institute of our academy there is that we take a oath of allegiance on Constitution of India. Why we take oath of allegiance of Constitution of India? That we do not belong to any particular political party. We do not follow the manifesto of any political party, but we follow policies of the government in power, but those policies within the framework of law. And that understanding, I'd like to quote, essential feature of democracy is not to obey any master, but the law. This principle applicable to all, not only All India Services, every government officer working in a system. Essential feature of democracy is not to obey any master, but the law. With this, I would like to start that I'll initially try to dispel what is the false propaganda is done on the effect of the post-poll violence in Bengal. First is that they are saying it is just spontaneous, it happened 1 or 2 places, sporadic. No, it is a widespread. As we see 16 districts And if you see the large number, you had mentioned that, and some even said that this evidence is some video is said it is fake video, etc. We have more than 150 photographs, more than 75 videos, and then hundreds of documents, names of the persons. All this we have kept in a pen drive, confidentially kept in a sealed cover, gave it to the Minister of State Home, Sri Kishan Reddy ji. Because we don't reveal the names. Why he said we don't reveal is that during the visits, we went to an hospital called Jawaharlal Nehru Memorial Medical College Hospital in a place called Kalyani. It was the evening because we have to find way. We didn't know, though we had some people with us. But this person, we found him on the road. We asked him, where is the hospital? Can you show that there are some of the victims are admitted in that hospital? This good Samaritan took us to that hospital. We have the photographs. I don't want to mention the name. And then we met three injured people there, badly injured. I spoke to the chief nursing superintendent there, some of the paramedical staff, one doctor there. They describe how horrific these injuries are. Very next day, shockingly, very next day, the good Samaritan who had shown us the way, his house was burnt. His head was broken, badly injured. I'm saying that even a person, innocent person showing us the way doesn't have a protection. What do you expect in this state? And second point, I'm saying that this is how the false narrative it was created, that it is party propaganda, etc. We have nothing to do with political party. You read entire 63-page report, you cannot say one single sentence which you said in favor of any political party, because it is a civil society group. It is constituted by a call for justice, well known as civil society organization that believes human rights, that believes in protecting the rights of the people of this country. This upholds certain national values. So with this background, I'll come to some of the findings which you have seen. Number one is that this large scale violence, this took place on a particular individuals, families of the particular individual who supported are supposed to have supported a particular political party. Mere suspicion that XYZ worked for a particular political party was enough for the targeting them for violence. And secondly, is that this whole thing, this is not that, because I also worked as a district election officer. I was a returning officer. I was assistant returning officer. I was observer of Election Commission of India for more than 11 times, different parts of India. But there, there is every election, district administration prepares a list of areas, vulnerable areas. They're calling them as sensitive and hypersensitive. Those are the areas special efforts will be made. Special teams will be set up. So paramilitary forces will be there. Not that the state government, district administration doesn't know which are the sensitive areas, which are the hypersensitive areas. Merely blaming election commission never doesn't serve the purpose. Here it is the state government prepares that list of the areas. These sensitive and hypersensitive areas, little bit of preventive action, it would have prevented these mass scale atrocities on innocent humans. And another important finding, we found that this is when the properties are destroyed and the houses are burnt, shops are looted, when the victims, they want to go back there, now they have to pay a ransom, and they have to pay a ransom of 50,000 to 1 lakh, give it in writing that they will not work for a particular political party. This is a shocking incident, because the elections come and go, because we have seen it in elections since so many years. But elections, this is one political party, you may win, you may lose. It's a celebration of democracy. Elections is a part of that process. Unfortunately, any one political party, if they think that this is the route they have to follow post-poll, terrible. This is a threat to the existence of very democracy in India. And fourth important point I have to say that particular communities, I'm saying that these are the communities from SC, STs. Their houses are burnt and targeting them. They are most vulnerable sections anyhow in the society, making them more vulnerable because they supported a particular political party. And cross border, because if we have verified, how could the attackers get the crude bombs, country-made pistols in a shortest period of time? They are the criminals on record. They are the people who are involved earlier. They cannot say that somebody cannot just justify that historically something happened in 1930s. Anushillan Samiti, yes, wonderful, but history if you do not, if you are allowing the bad history to repeat, and either you are blind or you are a collaborator. In this particular process, what happened is that known criminals, known mafia dons, these are the people who are involved. This shows the support of the state system to them. As far as the whole process is concerned, there is a tremendous, sense of fear. There is a panic everywhere. People have run away from their villages. They are left their homes. This overall situation is quite alarming, because just few days back we got again information that some murder has taken place. We have met the victims of a rape in hospitals. We have saw them. We cannot tell their names or show their photographs, but shocking. In a civilized society, the tears came to our eyes. And we are talking about some of the recommendations, because this is what we have specifically said, that forget about the political differences. Forget about whether you are win or lose. It's not important. Yes, that's a part of the process. The first priority for everyone, every political party, every office bearer, every civil society organization, is to restore the normalcy, bring back, build up the confidence, because the trauma of the victim, trauma of the violence, it has to be removed as early as possible. Otherwise, this is not a good for anyone. It's not good for any civilized society. Point number 2 is that who has to do that, that's not immaterial. That's immaterial. But thing is that everybody's first priority is to be restored normalcy, bring back peace, and develop the confidence in the people. Let the people come back to their villages or towns. Number 2 is that they can be peace committees, because in times of a communal rights or cost rights, first thing we read in our blue book, there's a blue book which you have certain thing to follow, what to do, what not to do. As an All India Service Officer at DMs, follow that protocols there, constitute a peace committees, reconciliation committees of people from different political parties, opinion makers, and they build the confidence, because that is okay. You have fought, you lost, again elections will come. This is a continuous process. Don't take it as a victory, as if we have won the world. Everyone has passed through this process. Third important recommendation is that develop a good financial rehabilitation package. This is a compensation package, because those who lost the houses, some of them small mobile repair shop fellows, some of them are the garage owners, some of them are the small MSME operators. They are the traders. They have lost, many of them have taken loans. They have to repay the loans. They don't have the money. So state government should give a very impartial package, financial and the rehabilitation and the compensation package should be given. And fourth important point is that particularly those who are border districts, because as I see, demographic changes that are taking place in certain districts in India is quite alarming. It affects internal security. You and me, today you may feel we are safe, but we are not safe anymore, sir. We are not safe anymore. Demographic imbalance is deciding the political processes in India with a hidden diabolical agenda. That hidden diabolical agenda has to be defeated and address the demographic balance, the changes that are taking place swiftly. Any demographic imbalance in a particular larger area takes place to 8 to 10 decades. But in some areas, it is taking place in 1 decade. That means something is alarming, something is dangerous happening. And those districts, we feel that there should be an empowered committee to look into the demographic changes that are taking place in the border districts in India, come out with a suggestion how to address issue in a both short term as well as the long term. And another important recommendation which we said that particularly this Supreme Court, because this is a special investigation team, because even a leader of a Communist Party of India said that we can't expect anything from this government. This comes from a leader of a CPIM. And you can see that 2 of their cadre are murdered. One of their women supporter is molested. Because every party is affected other than the party that got into power. So I'm saying that with the Supreme Court, because a special investigation team has to be constituted, and it will be monitored. Investigation will be monitored by a sitting judge of Honorable Supreme Court, or the either serving judge, sitting judge, or the retired judge. This will able to give the justice. And important point which I have to conclude is that it's a sad state, because we didn't go secretly or anywhere. On 11th May, as a member secretary, I addressed a letter to Chief Secretary of West Bengal. On promptly 12th May, I get a reply saying that please, asking us not to come, cancel the visit. Reasons are given, some reason, some pretext, etc. And then among the members of a factor committee, we discussed Again on 13th May, I wrote another letter giving details of the background of each of the member of this fact-finding committee, our experience, our assurance that we will law-abiding. We would like to know the version of what state government is saying. This I didn't get I didn't get a reply even today. And then after completion, after we visit the place on 20th May, I sent again to requested Chief Secretary of West Bengal, Sri Alapanti, and then he asked me to please contact my Home Secretary. I contacted the Home Secretary. I sent mails. I have sent him 2 WhatsApp messages requesting for at least to say a few words. We wanted to share the report with them and seek their comment. No. Why? What is there to fear? Why are they trying to conceal something? And then in the one reply which I got on the 12th May, they say that the widespread violence that took place is now under control. That means indirectly they have accepted it. I'm saying that we have personally said that our presence will be beneficial to state, because many of the civil society organizations in the past, we bring back the confidence, we bring back the truth, not with criticizing any government, criticizing any political party. We have made it very clear. We don't want to criticize X party, Y party, Z party. Yes, it is a very impartial, non-political civil society group. And I conclude one final point is that any such widespread violence take place in India, some of these so-called left liberal intellectuals who are the self-styled protectors of human rights, they're silent. What happened to them? One incident in UP, one incident in Rajasthan, one incident in Karnataka, one incident somewhere, you highlight, you go to international, it becomes global. Why there are hundreds of incidents? We have names of the persons who are murdered along with their addresses. We have the photographs of the rape victims. We have the videos of the destruction of the properties. Why is it not a responsibility of so-called left liberal intellectuals, proclaimed protectors of human rights, to open their voice? Don't play into politics. Don't have a selective amnesia. These people have selective amnesia. Be impartial. Human rights are non-political in nature. Whether it is attacked by X party, Y party, Z party, X belief, Y belief, human rights are a essential feature of any democratic processes in India. With this, I suggest that these are some of the findings, some of the recommendations. I say that this is as a member of All India Services for 3 decades, I feel very sad that I never wanted to see my India, my country, one of the states in India, degenerating to this advanced stage of decay. With these words, I conclude.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madan Gopal, for giving your views. And Mr. Madan Gopal is also quite anguished and with anger, although he is being such a seasoned and senior IAS officer. He says that we as a All India Service, those who are serving in the All India Services, we follow the Constitution, not to obey the master. That is the first principle which we learn when we take the training at Mussoorie Institute. And he says when they have visited there, they found that it is a widespread violence. It is not a violence for one or two places. And they says it has been, they have, according to Mr. Madan Gopal, they have hundreds of photographs and the videos where they have all the details, what has happened, the atrocities, were their burned houses and whatnot. And they says that to burn or to blame only the election commission is not right, because it is the duty of the state government, home department, to give that all the list of those with the places which are sensitive, super sensitive, etc., which they have failed to do, or what they have given, they have misled the election commission. And he says the condition was so bad that when they were visiting the place, they came to know that in one hospital there are some victims who have been treated. So they asked some passerby to the way of the hospital. That passerby was kind enough. He took them to that hospital. They met the victims, etc. The next day they came to know that passerby, the person who has shown the way, his house was burned. And he was beaten. So according to Mr. Madan Gopal, this is the condition of the law and order there. And he says now when those victims wants to come back from the other states, they've been asked for the ransom for 50,000 and 1 lakh rupees, which is unheard earlier. And no one, because instead of giving the compensation to the victims, the goons are asking the money. And he says the most effective is the SC and ST, which, because they don't have that much voice and they were being brutalized like anything. he says that we want the recommendations which we have given lots of recommendation, but the main highlight I can say is which he has mentioned is that normalcy to be restored immediately and peace to be restored. And he says all India services people should know there is a blue book which is always there with the collector or the DM or the DC of the district. He must read that blue book again and see to it that what is to be done. He shares that the financial package should be given to those who have lost their businesses, small businesses, money, etc. He has also mentioned that the Supreme Court should monitor the peace restoring there. They should have a committee or they should get the investigation done under the sitting judge or a retired judge, which is very much required. And now in the last, he mentioned that when they wanted to go, they were refused by the chief secretary that please don't visit. But when they insisted, they say, see, look, we are coming, we are a peace-loving people, and this is the members' profile. One is the retired High Court judge, two are IAS, one IPS officer, all those who have served for the country for so many years or the decades, but they were not ready to take them. They have not replied. And when they reached, there was no cooperation from the state government's officers or the All India officers. Even the chief secretary passed them to the home secretary, and the home secretary says now everything has been restored, peace is there. So according to Mr. Madan Gopal, it is not only one, but it was pre-planned, everything was done, and everyone is supporting, whether he's an All India service officer or the political party. And he says those who have lost or those who have been victims are in this post-poll violence. It apart from one party which is ruling now, all the parties suffered. So that is the view of Mr. Madan Gopal, who is the secretary of this fact-finding committee. Thank you very much, Mr. Madan Gopal, for giving your views. And now I would like to invite my next guest, and she is Miss Nirmal Kaur, IPS. Miss Nirmal Kaur, IPS, is the former Director General of Police, Jharkhand. She is of 1983 batch. She, during her service, worked as SP to DG in Bihar and Jharkhand, Bureau of Police Research and Development, MHA, Delhi. Her reputation was of very honest and efficient IPS officer. She patrolled crime-ridden rural areas in Bhagalpur, Patna, and Darbhanga on horseback. She controlled crime and Naxalite. She was called Hunter Wali by Bhagalpur people, where she was posted after Bhagalpur blindings. She was considered to be the most honest and dutiful lady officer. She is well versed in Indian Vedantic philosophy, the Sikh Gurus, and Sri Guru Granth Sahib. She possesses scholarly knowledge of Sikh scriptures. She is associated with rural development groups. She is active member of Yoga Satsang Society of India for over 30 years. She is also associated with cataract camps of Yogoda. She did spiritual sadhana at Rishikesh and near Vasisht Guha on Ma Ganga's bank from 2016 to 2018. Welcome, Ms. Nirmal Kaur on a show. First of all, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, you have to turn your mobile in a horizontal position if you can. Yes, please. And yeah. And you have to bring him either because yes, you have to come in the center, and if possible the backside curtain can be closed so the light is affecting because it's a live telecast. There is a curtain, if it can be closed completely, okay. Let's see now. Yeah. So, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, you have done a very special job of understanding the atrocity of women folk which took place during the post-poll violence at West Bengal. Being a lady police officer of a very nearby state of Bihar and Jharkhand, which is bordering the West Bengal. So you know the conditions of the West Bengal as well as because you are policing next to the West Bengal, and you are very much because of your career, because of your reputation, you are very, very honest and a very strict police officer. Now, when you have visited the West Bengal as a committee member or with the fact-finding committee, you have seen the atrocities. Now, we would like to know from you the extent of hardship faced by the women folk there. Miss Nirmal Kaur, please. No, we can't hear you. You please unmute. Please unmute. Please unmute.
Now,
Yes, please.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can.
I said the committee visited West Bengal to find out the ground realities. In fact, it was so shocking. Everything there was so shocking, unthinkable, that we were not prepared even to see a fraction of what we found on the ground. Women were the worst sufferers. Women were the worst sufferers because they attacked houses. The men ran away and leaving the women to bear the brunt. And women were really, the man ran away. There was no earning in the house. They attacked their means of livelihood. There was nothing to eat. On top of it, they would come to the houses and damage the houses, vandalize the house, cut away the water source. Like, in one village, entire locality, there was one chapakal, which they, kind of uprooted and carried away. They said nobody will even be able to drink water here till they repent. Repent what? Having supported a particular party. So that was the message they were giving with every atrocities, which was to throttle, to suffocate the very lives out of them. And when that was not enough, they committed heinous crimes against everyone. Murder, especially heinous crimes like rape against women, very indignified rapes. I mean, they just crushed their dignity. And when see a woman is being raped, alongside her husband is being murdered, a mother is being raped, 60-plus-year-old mother is being raped, and her son is being murdered there. And, a woman, a small girl, young girl, she's being undressed. And then, the father is there. And, they're holding just to humiliate, to shame, to somehow will them into submission. And the submission they are looking for is what? That they will never repeat this mistake of having voted for a particular party ever again, or never ever support it ever again. And they wanted to, pulverize everything to the ground till it was their way. And their way is that you will never support this party again. You will now onwards. And, they shaved off people's heads, called them when they came back. Oh, here you come in repentance. What repentance? You are forced into repent because you want to survive. People are not even allowed to breathe unless they repented. And a few of them that came, their heads were shaved off. They were given a flag each of a particular party, the ruling party. They carry this flag, display it prominently on your house. Always support us. And, not only that, the money, some government scheme somewhere, like, we found that in one village, some money was distributed at the time of tsunami, some government grant. So, they made the villager give back that person, that particular citizen, and many of them like that, 4,000 rupees, which he had received as an aid during tsunami from the government, which was years ago. So, they were kind of, being very vindictive, they wanted to vanquish everything. Like, the retreating armies of Nadir Shah would do. I mean, I think they were much kinder to the vanquished people than this ruling party was. They became so drunk. They became so inebriated with their own power. Now that we have our government, now that we have won, we can do anything. We can rule over people. We can, crush them. Simply crush all opposition. And without opposition, democracy can never survive. I mean, if you have a democracy, you have to have opposition. How can so many billion people think alike? Everybody will have his own ideology. Everybody will have his own ideas of the way it should be. You can't abide by, even if it is the Holy Grail. I mean, the particular party, not that it is even if it were the very epitome of what is needed in the society, all the people cannot possibly support it because everyone will have a view. And they say, I may not, like, some critic of, I think Rousseau has said, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend till death, your right to say what you have to say, or your right to hold your opinion. So agreement is not important. What is important is freedom of thought. that everybody should be free to profess what they believe in, whether profess their religion or profess their right to vote or profess their ideas, whatever. So this freedom is being denied to people. And what democracy? This democracy, you know, they say it is the highest institution and democracy is a very pious thing. How is it pious? ये तो पूरा democracy का halal हो गया. Slowly, not slowly, very rapidly in this case, slowly, ever so slowly, you're killing the democracy. You're killing it by various means. You're killing the democracy when you change the demographic profile. You are getting in people to migrate from outside the country, coming, settling in locations so that they vote for you. You know, you have a large block of people, a quarter population, 1/4 of the population, or maybe more, who vote en bloc. And you want their patronage and to have their voting power. You are allowing these illegal people to come into it, little realizing that our resources cannot support any more intruders. We cannot support any more immigrants from or refugees from Bangladesh or Rohingya. Most of these atrocities we found were being committed by these Bangladeshi intruders or the Rohingya intruders and their, you know, their patrons. The patrons are only single digit in number, but largely the mobs that took over. They were the mobs, you know, they were indulging in Gundaism, they were indulging in hooliganism, they were vandalizing properties, burning houses, raising connected bridges. Like there's this area, entire area, which had only one connectivity, one bridge, you know. And they brought a JCB and raised it to the ground. They took away the bridge so that they are not connected to the civilization anymore. They cannot go and earn a living. They don't even get anything from outside. They cannot get any rations. You know, the kind of atrocities they committed, I think it will put Nadir Shah's army to shame. Those were the kind of atrocities, the unthinkable, you know, atrocities being committed on the people, and no drinking water, no livelihood, nothing to eat, nothing to drink. The people who ran away, I mean, like they are going to their mothers, ki Rakht Ganga baha denge apne bete ko bolo. And when the poor woman, you know, with great difficulty calls her son back or her family back to repent, they are told, no, pay this much of fine. 50,000 fine, 1 lakh fine. Where will a poor family get it? And join our party and support it forever. This is the kind of vows they are getting them to take. And not only this, in one booth we found, and must have happened in many more booths, but this booth we had visited. And in that booth area, the ruling party, the party which has won, did not lead. They did not win the booth. I mean, the booth count. They were not leading in the booth. The other party was leading in the booth area, the voters. And they put a fine, collect this much of money, collect 2 lakhs of money, all of you voters together, who voted for this particular party, who's lost out. And since we have won, you have to pay us 2 lakh compensation. Compensation for what? For having voted as per their choice. That means it is their right to somehow, I mean, what kind of democracy is this? This is democracy murdered. This is not democracy. This is even worse than autocracy. Even in there we've seen rulers have some benevolence. They are benevolent dictators. Here too, they were just out to finish everyone who doesn't want to, who you think will not vote for them. And not only has not voted, even the mere suspicion that they are not supporting the ruling party and they are supporting the other party, the major opposition, this mere suspicion, they have taken away. They have taken away the Aadhaar cards. They have taken away the ration cards. They have dismissed them from jobs. They have taken away their livelihood. Like in one case we saw in Kalyani, where the IOC, Indian bottling plant, is there. In Indian bottling plant, those who voted for BJP, those workers were retrenched. They were sent away. They said, you cannot work here anymore. Their jobs were taken away because you voted for a particular party. Is this democracy? This is not, I mean, the worst. Tana Shah will feel ashamed of such conduct, depriving people of their livelihoods, depriving people of their dignities, depriving people of their right to live, to earn a living, to have their own thoughts. See, all fundamental rights, all rights flow from this right in a democracy, that we have a right to choose our own government. And if you take away my right to vote, how will I choose my own government? You are imposing your ideas on me. You are imposing your party on me. Okay, this time you have won. You won because of whatever, the forces come to play at democracy, but you are the government for everyone. You're not the government merely for those, your gundas who have brought this victory to your lap. No, you are the government, you are the CM, you are the DM, you are the SP, you are the officer in charge, SHO of the Thana, you are the block development officer, you are the block worker for every citizen residing in the area, not merely those who supported the ruling party. And they were conniving, police connived, police were just silent spectators. And in many cases, actively, like in one Thana area we saw, the SHO is telling those people that go compromise with them, go surrender to him, go surrender to him. Why surrender to him? Because they say, I cannot protect you unless you go and, make your peace with him. And what is making with peace him entail? Making peace with him entails that they give away their right to vote, they give away their right to thought, they give away everything. And the kind of heinous atrocities being committed, murders being committed, and lots of other things being committed there, just to break people's will, to make them surrender, to bring them on their knees, and to beg their forgiveness for having supported a particular party, and to take a vow that henceforth they will only be supporting this particular party, and we come here in repentance and we promise forever and forever to support you. This is not free thought. This is not democracy. This is just, imposing your will on poor, helpless people by your might. Might is right. Jiski lathi uski bhains. Just because you have a lot of power, muscle power with you, or you have the power of the administration with you, you are going and decimating everything in view which is not agreeable to you, which you don't like, which doesn't accept you as the overlord. That is what was being and is still being done in West Bengal. It is not that the violence is over. They have registered a few cases very reluctantly, and they have also arrested a few people, but they are all the, very chote-mote people, the people, very, very lowly people, or, they have not arrested the kingpin, the mastermind, the mafia, the real mastermind behind it. I think in every case which has happened of violence in West Bengal, at least there are five masterminds I know of. During our visit, we found out at least 5-6 names. And I think in every case, in these thousands of cases which have happened, if you were to apply 120B is IPC, which is a section which deals with conspiracy, and to have made up a plan, these 5 or 6 names will perhaps fit into 90% of the cases of violence. So arrest those 5-6 people, arrest them. I know their names. I was there a short while. You know their names also because you are the administration. You are there forever, 24/7. You are there. You know them. And in case you don't know the names, I'm happy to give you the names. Those are the masterminds. Arrest them. And let us see if this violence will come down or not. If you make a sincere attempt at crime cannot support politics. This is criminalization of politics to the worst extent. By crime, you are changing the demography. By crime, you want to have a larger vote base. By converting people not by giving them freedom of thought or by convincing them of your better ideas. You are forcing them to convert them or to obey them. More than conversion, it is an obedience. You're obeying them into following your thought and to display your flag and to do your politics and to come out in your rallies, to come out in your processions. This is what has happened. Forcibly, people are being made to support a particular party and not support the other party whom they do not like. So this kind of crime, and to take shelter, to take support of crime to do this. Everybody is free to profess these thoughts. I can convince you if I'm right. I should be able to convince you by reason, by rationale, by giving you the reason for your, why it is a better choice. But no, since they cannot convince people that way, this is the shortcut they have, short and very effective and very quick method they have found of converting people to their party, to take them away. And those who are still opposing are suffering. People have suffered a lot. Murders, rapes, looting of shops, arson, vandalism, depriving people of their even water connections, access to water, access to ration, access to eating, access to everything. And people have had to run away to neighboring states. People have ran away to Assam, they've ran away to Orissa, to Jharkhand to protect themselves. So this kind of atrocities have been committed in the name of democracy and to celebrate their victory in elections. Elections in a democratic process. Elections, which we say is the festival of democracy. They say it is a celebration of democracy. And this is how they are celebrating democracy, by doing halal of democracy, by cutting off democracy, by finishing democracy, by sounding its death knell. The democracy death knell is sounded. And if, God forbid, if this is our country and if this is what you're going to do, these are a few points. I have many more to go, but
Yeah.
I think I'll take them up during question hours. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, for giving your very, very straight submission about what you have seen there. And I will just highlight few points. One is that she says, jiski lathi uska bhais, this is the thing which is happening there. And then she says the worst sufferer were the women. And she says they were humiliated in dignified way. They were what she has described. Even sorry to say, I cannot utter those words. These are the so much heinous crimes were done to the women there. And she says that there were no water. They were cut. Even they have taken out all the water supplies in the locality so that no one can have a water. They have destroyed the bridge. They have done so many things which is required for a living. They have been humiliated, and they have been asked for compensation. Even in one case, many cases, what she has reported is that the people who were giving some compensation for a tsunami few years back for 4,000 rupees, now they are asking to pay them back because you have not voted to the party which is ruling now. So these are the things. Even she says that there is an Indian gas bottling plant. They have to lose the jobs who have not voted for a particular party, those who have lost, or she even mentioned that those who have not voted for the BJP. Now, these things were happening there. She says there is no freedom of thought. After all, it's a freedom. It's a democratic country where there's a democracy. And she made a very, very important, raised an important point. She says they have changed the demography of the state. The Bangladeshis, the Rohingyas, they are there, and they are the goons. They are doing all these violences with some masterminds and the kingpins. She claimed that she knows the names of those, at least the 5 kingpins and the masterminds, but the police failed to identify, or they are just showing that they don't know. So she says if the police cannot catch hold of them, they can contact her, and she is ready to disclose those 5 names. I would like if she can disclose here, but I'm sure that because of some secrecy, which is in the interest of the public at large, as well as for the All India services, the conduct rules, she expects that the police of West Bengal should take and arrest those kingpins and the mastermind, not the small fries, just to show, just to fulfill the legalities. But the main thing is those people should be arrested. And she says so many things have happened. She is having so much anger because, after all, first thing, she's a lady, and that too, she's a police officer. And she has seen all these types of things, many elections during her tenure, from the SP to the Director General Police. So she knows what is the right and what is wrong. But in spite of that, the police, West Bengal police, failed to do their duties, which they are supposed to do. Thank you very much, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, for giving first-hand informations by all 3 of you, I must say, in a very, very candid way. And that is what we want. We want that the people should know what has happened there, and then they can decide and they can think what they feel. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Bose a question. Dr. Bose, now you have heard all the 3, although you were there, so you know each and everything. You all 3 knows each and everything. Now, but the question is, what has happened has happened. Now, what are the larger implications of this West Bengal violence, and what structural changes do you want for federal structure of India in the future? Because India is a federal country. We have a central government, union government, we have a state government. We have concurrent list, we have a state centers defined list and a state list. But what has happened in West Bengal, whatsoever is written in constitution, whatsoever are your lists, but why a common person should suffer? Why especially the women should suffer? They are not the tools. Why they should suffer? The political parties kill each other, no problems, but no, not a single innocent person should suffer. So what are the larger implications of this violence, and what structural changes you recommend so that no such violence should take place in future? Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, please.
I will respond with the two key words used by Madan and Nirmal. Madan said about human rights are not political in nature. And Nirmal said about the killing of democracy. I think these are the two key issues which have larger implications in the future running of democracy in this country. You know, in the heydays of democracy, Mussolini said derisively, democracy is a kingless regime infested by many kings who are more exclusive and tyrannical than one if he be a king. I think that is what we saw demonstrated on the streets of Bengal. Democracy is a kingless regime infested by many kings who are more exclusive and tyrannical than one if he be a king. This has larger implications for Indian federalism and also survival of democracy. As Dr. Radhakrishnan said, if the flame of democracy is put out in India, darkness will spread throughout the subcontinent, nay, in the whole world. That is what is going to happen. That is what is happening. Forms of government, let fools contest. That which is administered best is the best. This is again Alexander Pope. Forms of government, let fools contest. That which is administered best is the best. That answers the question which you have raised. For the common man, it's not enough that the laws are there, the constitution is there. For the common man, whether it is administered, whether the law is administered, when I am attacked, is the police helping me? When there is a case, is the judicial court taking quick decisions? He wants action. That is what is sadly missing here. I think a redefinition of federalism and cooperative federal structure is required. As you know, in the Bombay case, the Supreme Court says that federalism forms the basic structure of the Indian Constitution. Yes. But how to make the federalism work? There are lacunae in this, which is now demonstrated from this. If a state government deliberately tries to flout the Constitution of India and fails to discharge its constitutional duties in maintaining law and order, if the constitutional machinery of the state has broken down, what is the way out? We cannot say this is in the state list, for law and order is in state list, so we cannot interfere. We can impose president's rule, but sorry, court will interfere, so we cannot have president's rule. Then I would say, for the consideration of the nation, see, patriotism does not mean, patriotism means pride in what your state does, not in whatever your state does. Take pride in what your state does, not whatever your state does. There should be checks and balances. If a state decides to be a rogue state, if I may use that expression, who will control them? The center has to control. If the center cannot control, why? If legal restrictions are there, we should have an overarching legislation which would empower the government of India to step in when there is a law and order breakdown and the state government refuses to act. Maybe in certain special situations, the central government should be empowered to use the paramilitary forces where the state police fails. These are not final recommendations. There should be deep thought into this. When federalism fails, because of the deliberate act of omission or commission of a particular state government, what next? Certainly, we cannot throw up our hand in despair and tell the people, you take care of yourself. The state's duty is to protect the citizens. The life and property of the citizens should be safe. Therefore, a thorough change is to be done. A relook is to be done into the federal state system, federal practices. If legislation is required, usher in legislation. If policy changes are required, usher in policy changes. Otherwise, India will have to pay a heavy price. And now to the one small point of Rohingyans, the very, very sharp observation of Nirmal. She could find out the shanties of the Rohingyans in the city itself. If the Rohingyans are allowed to continue in this country, you know, Rohingyans are treated as a criminal race. In Burma, they were thrown out. Even Suu Kyi did not oppose it because of their crime rate. They went in ships and sought asylum in various countries. No country allowed them. That is why they were called the ship people. Then finally, Saudi Arabia was requested by UN. Can you accommodate them? Can you take them on humanitarian consideration? Saudi Arabia said, we can feed them. We will never allow them to touch on their feet on our soil. If any country is willing to take them, we are willing to pay for it. Indonesia took them. Indonesia took the Rohingyas for 1 year. Of course, Saudi Arabia compensated. After 6 months, Indonesia said, no, we do not want them here. Are we going to be the haven for such people? There are very large implications, demographic changes which are taking place. India is going to lose its Indianness. We do not want a fallen or a prostrate India. We want an India which is ready to live so that humanity may live. I think if that is the benchmark, thorough change is required. There are larger implications on democracy, larger implications on constitution, larger implications on the democratic divergence of this country. We want unity amidst diversity. This is a pluralistic society where every religion, every group has independence to grow and flourish, but not subjugating people, not by intimidating people, not by imposing the will on people. Therefore, a thorough relook into the functioning of constitution and the functioning of democracy that is what is warranted. That perhaps is the take home from the fact-finding mission to West Bengal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, for giving once again the details and about the and very clearly you mentioned what the central government or the Supreme Court or the public should do and the state government duties. That is a very, very important thing. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Madan Gopal. Mr. Madan Gopal, what do you think should be the future course of action that the state and center should take to implement the recommendation of this report? Because you have made a report, but whether they will be implementing or not, what action for future course of action they should take? Mr. Madan Gopal.
We have submitted the report and we got a assurance from the MOS home that the entire report, because we also submitted evidence, by the way, and definitely they will look into that. We are sure we'll do that. But 3 points which I will mention in the broader issues. One is that right to life is a fundamental right assured in the Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Here, people are deprived of their fundamental right. Who has to protect the fundamental rights? That is a constitutionally elected government. So there is a failure of a system there. The government in power should look into themselves, introspect what happened, what should not have happened, what can be done to ensure that it will not happen again. Point number 2, appeal to all the political parties, irrespective of their affiliations, as long as they believe in the constitutional values, if they are within the framework of law, please, you guys should introspect, because X party is affected today, Y party will be affected tomorrow. Your silence will strengthen and legitimize those who have indulged in this type of senseless, meaningless violence. And third point is that those who are perpetuated, participated, triggered in this violence are to be punished. Otherwise, they get a more courage. They think that, oh, I have done something in West Bengal, I can do it in some other state, I can do it national level elections. So this should not happen. Those should be punished very, very, as early as possible, they should be punished. One important thing we say that what can happen is that this report of the fact-finding committee, though it is interim in nature, should be brought before the Honorable Supreme Court. This we mentioned specifically. Honorable Supreme Court to take cognizance of our report and let them do. We are not saying punish XYZ. Please let there be a independent, fair investigation by an SIT to be monitored by the sitting judge of the Honorable Supreme Court. These are my observations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madan Gopal. You rightly said that there should be a Supreme Court's supervised investigation to check up what is right and what is wrong. Thank you very much. Now I would like to go to Ms. Nirmal Kaur. Ms. Nirmal Kaur, what according to you are the steps to be initiated by the state and central government to protect the interest of the women and provide them security in future? Because what we have seen, it should not be repeated in any of the future elections which are going to take place soon now in UP and Punjab and other states. So this what steps according to the central government and state government should take, at least there no atrocities on women. Ms. Nirmal Kaur, please.
The very first thing is they should register each and every case. There are thousands and thousands of cases. They are not registering cases. They should honestly, sincerely register every case and name the correct people in it, make the right arrests, get the guilty punished. That, punishment of the guilty will be the biggest deterrent that these things will not happen in future. And the biggest thing is not to mix crime and politics. It's a very deadly cocktail, You cannot have politics, which is a flow of ideas, which is a flow of beliefs, of values, and you cannot have crime. Crime is, deviant behavior that should be treated as deviance only, and not, the two should not be. It is like mainstreaming crime. You brought crime into the mainstream of the society by giving it political patronage or by doing politics through criminal means. That should be stopped right away. That is the biggest threat to democracy. You've killed democracy. And, we all citizens, we worked for generations. Our forefathers have worked. They have so many thousands, millions, lakhs of people have sacrificed. That's why we are able to enjoy this democracy, breathe this free air. And, the Rabindranath Tagore himself said, where the mind is without fear is, epic poem is a very celebrated poem, that where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. So allow that for women, for men of all views, even your opponents. Allow them to live without fear, allow them to think without fear, allow them to vote without fear, and punish the guilty, and also compensate, bring people to a level where they were before the violence started, so that they can earn their livelihoods properly. If you've taken away everything I have, how will I? मेरी छोटी सी दुकान है, उसको आप तोड़ फोड़ कर गए, जला गए, ले गए, मेरे घर को पूरा जला गए, हाँ पूरे गांव को जला दिया, जब मेरे पास घर ही नहीं, कच्चा पक्का जैसा भी रहने के लिए. I mean, how can I think of earning a living? How can I, some basic dignity which existed before this violence started, that should be restored, People's dignity should be restored, and they should be given compensation. All the criminal cases should be registered, and criminals should be treated as criminals, regardless of which party they come from, regardless of how useful they are in, garnering your vote bank. No, a crime is a crime. That is my view, that we have to protect our women.
Okay, thank you very much. So, viewer, you have seen today the fact-finding committee reports, and there those three important members, or rather, they're one of the secretary member and two others, those who have gone visited themselves, and they have seen the atrocities with their own eyes, and they have seen that how the state government or the political party which is ruling now are shielding those goons who have done the atrocities. Now, this is a very alarming situation because elections are there very few soon. In another 6 months, we are going to have elections in UP, Punjab, and many other states. If this new trend, although the West Bengal, some people say that it's an old trend of West Bengal, but it doesn't mean that old never had these types of post-poll violence, what we have seen this time. But if this is a new trend which is coming up, that after elections there will be post-poll violence, then what will be the future? Have our forefathers or those who have prepared our constitution ever thought of it? They ever dreamt of it, that we are going to have these types of post-war violence where the dignities of the human beings and especially the women were crushed because somebody has not voted for you. I'm sure everyone has to soul search themselves, think, and then decide what is to be done. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat post news, as well as was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new thing. And as you know, that we have started a program about 1.5 months back in the evening, where we are calling an achiever who has achieved in the very short span of his life, and who has become a role model for the young generation. And today, the program is called Kal Aaj aur Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang, which is start at 4:30, and it's a half an hour live telecast again. And today, our chief guest is Mr. Pramod Garg, leading industrialist and philanthropist from Mathura. He is going to tell about his life journey, how, as a successful leading industrialist, what are his views about the charity work, the philanthropist as he himself is. So please tune in today for Kal Aaj aur Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang at 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Thank you very much, Mr. Madan Gopal. And thank you very much, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, for joining us, giving your very, very truthful insight, candid views and about what has happened, because you were the first went there, and as a first-hand information which we have seen, observed, although without any cooperation from the state government and the All India service officers who were supposed to give, and all the reports what we have given, I'm sure that someone either in Supreme Court or the central government or those authorities should take cognizance of this, or even the soul search done by the state government and do something as recommended in the report and book those goons who have committed this very heinous crime. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. I'm sure that today's program is quite enlightening and it's a thought-provoking. One has to think what they have to